Very good morning and a warm welcome to everyone on this wonderful Tuesday morning for today's seminar entitled Preparing for Your Thesis Defense, Guidance for Business Students. Now, my name is Quilling. I'm from the Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Management, UCSI University. I'll be the moderator for this particular session for the next 1.5 hours. All right. Next, William. Before we start the session, let us go through the overview of today's seminar. There are 4 key areas to be addressed by our speakers that aims to provide practical guidance for students in a thesis defense. So the topics are, the first is attributes of a good thesis writing. Second, preparation for Viva Voce examination. Third, oral presentation during Viva Voce examination. And the fourth is strategies and tips for thesis defense. After all our speakers have shared their tips and views on the 4 key topics, there will be a Q&A session where all of you are welcome to ask questions. Then, followed on, the business manager from Emerald Publishing East Asia will be sharing some Emerald online resources to every one of you. Second, all participants' video and audio will be muted at all times. The organizers have every right to remove those who are deemed disruptive without warning. And the third, questions related to the seminar topics and GoToWebinar can only be asked via question session on the system dashboard. So please remember to keep the discussions within the scope of the forum. A few questions will be selected for discussions during Q&A session later on. And finally, the e-certificates will be emailed to all participants who attend after the seminars in 3 days. So please note that the name printed on the certificate is based on your registration name. Now, without further delaying the time, let me invite Madam Mokvinder Kaur Sandhu, Chief Operating Officer of UCSI University, Kuching campus, to give her welcoming remarks. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Dr. Leong. Welcome to the UCSI Postgraduate Seminar, everyone. It's entitled Preparing for Your Thesis Defense. Now, today's seminar is meant to provide practical guidance to business students, in particular on thesis defense at the postgraduate level. Now, you will hear shortly from our esteemed speakers this morning who will share with you their experiences and guidelines as examiners, supervisors, and of course, academics. Various aspects will be shared today, from writing and submission to oral presentations, and also accessing useful online resources. Now, postgraduate research or thesis work is often an obligatory requirement to fulfill postgraduate studies, often offering postgraduate students to understand their potential and interest to take up a career in research perhaps in the future. Not to mention, of course, exposure to research is likely to make you more rational, logical, as well as responsible. You are kept stimulated, challenged in your own respective fields. Now, whilst we do get some remarkable research outputs from our students, we often see gaps in knowledge of methodology, for instance, and a lack of quality research training at the postgraduate level. Now, today's seminar is part of an effort by the university, in particular the Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Management, to provide an enabling environment to postgraduate research, giving it more attention and emphasis. We have a lineup of seasoned academics today, We have Associate Professor Dr. Pua from Unimas, Associate Professor Dr. Rosmini from UTM, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hafiz, UITM, and Assistant Professor Dr. Jason Chan from Utah. And these sessions will be moderated by Assistant Professor Dr. Leong, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism, UCSI University. Not to mention also the man behind it all, Associate Professor Dr. Hiram, UCSI University. Thank you. Now, this seminar is organized by the Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Management, UCSI University, in collaboration with UITM Sabah branch. I understand we will have with us today in a short while Dato Associate Professor Dr. Haji Abdul Kadir. He's Director of UITM Sabah. Right. Thank you very much for joining us, as well as we are also collaborating with the Sarawak Research Society, Emerald Publishing. We have Mr. William Low with us today, as well as RCE Kuching. Now, a bit about RCE Kuching. RCE Kuching stands for Regional Center of Expertise Kuching. It is all about education for sustainable development. The center, which was established by UCSI University, has been acknowledged by the United Nations University, and we attempt to use education as a tool to promote a sustainable future here at the local communities here at Kuching, Sarawak. And we are focused very much on working with communities, translating global objectives such as the SDGs. You can see it projected, trying to bring in global objectives like the UN Sustainable Development Goals or the SDGs at the local context. So this is what RC Kuching is all about. We work with various stakeholders around Kuching to come up with initiatives, educational programs, awareness campaigns, as well as research programs. So we do hope, if you'll be able to offer some donations to support our initiatives under RCE Kuching. That would be very much appreciated. So that'll be all from me. We certainly do hope that you will find this seminar very useful. Thank you very much for your participation once again. Back to you, Dr. Leong. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Mokbinder. Now, William, next slide, please. So now, let me introduce to all of you our esteemed speakers. The first speaker of the day is Assistant Professor Dr. Jason Cham Tat Hui. Here's some highlights about Dr. Jason. Dr. Jason is currently the head of program at the Faculty of Accountancy and Management, University Tunku Abdul Rahman. Besides, he also holds the position of Research Associate at University Putra Malaysia and Research Consultant for Institute Koperasi Malaysia. He is currently the Managing Editor for Journal of Marketing Advances and Practices, besides serving as the Auditor of the Malaysian Research Assessment. Welcome to you, Dr. Jason. The second speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad Hanafia. Dr. Hafiz received his PhD in Hotel and Tourism Management from University Technology Mara in 2016, in which he was awarded Graduate on Time Award and Research Excellence Award during his convocation. Wow, Dr. Hafiz, I'm sure that the participants would like to know what's your secret recipe. Dr. Hafiz has more than 100 peer-reviewed papers and articles with more than 500 citations and an H index of 14. In addition, he edited 6 books of proceedings, of which 2 of them were indexed with Scopus and Web of Science. Welcome to this seminar today, Dr. Hafiz. The third speaker of the day is Associate Professor Dr. Rosmini Omar. Dr. Rosmini is an Associate Professor in Management at Azman Hashim International Business School, University Technology Malaysia. She is also a visiting instructor at Helsinki School of Business, Finland, and has served College of Business, Minot State University, North Dakota, USA as an online adjunct. She is active in training, research projects, and consultancy, and currently involved in 3 EU grants. Since 2014, she began her social work for patients for Patient Safety Malaysia to promote awareness for patients' care. Welcome, Dr. Rosmini. Our fourth speaker of today is none other than others, Associate Professor Dr. Phua Chin Hong. Dr. Phua is currently the Chief Executive Officer at the Unimas Business School, University Malaysia Sarawak. He has been actively involved in financial economics and macroeconomic studies in the past 20 years. To date, he has received more than 50 research grants and consultancy projects with totaling amount more than 10 million ringgit Malaysia and supervised more than 100 postgraduate students. At present, Dr. Phua has published more than 130 refereed journal articles in various international journals. The significance of his academic work has rewarded him with several awards from Unimas. Welcome to you, Dr. Phua, for today's seminar. All right, now let us begin with the seminar with our first speaker of the day, with Assistant Professor Dr. Jason Cham on the first topic of the seminar, which entitled Attributes of a Good Thesis Writing. Now, Dr. Jason, my questions to you are, why is good thesis writing important since we need to defend our thesis during viva voce examination? And the second question is, what are the aspects of thesis writing a postgraduate student should be mindful of before their final submission? Over to you, Dr. Jason.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Leong, for your superb introductions. And not to forget the marvelous organizing team who worked behind the scene to make this thing happen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, basically, just let me briefly explain what is really meant by thesis, or some institutions call it a dissertation. As we know, some of the institutions use this as a different terms, and some of them use it interchangeably. Anyway, both of these papers serve similar purpose. In many schools or institutions, these documents are used to document the research work of the students for a university degree, particularly postgraduate. Okay, for those who are doing their research program, the 1 million question is, why do we need to have a good thesis? All right, based on the slide itself, I give you 5 attributes that I think that is very relevant based on my past experience as a PhD student, as well as a head of programs for PhD and MPhil. All right, the first one, initial impressions for examiner. Okay, we cannot deny that a good thesis play a very important role in creating positive impressions among the examiners. As usual, examiners will go through your thesis before the viva, and you won't be surprised that most of the time, ladies and gentlemen, most of the time, your marks have been decided during their first reading. Therefore, it is important for the researcher, like the postgraduate students in particular, to ensure that all the elements in the thesis are well articulated and prepared. All right. The second point would be hook the reader's attentions. Besides creating a good impressions among the examiner, a good thesis would also need to hook the reader's attentions psychologically. When a person is attracted to your work, particularly in the storyline of your thesis, they would definitely use it as a reference or the yardstick for their work. The beauty part is this: they also start to know you as a person, especially in the area that you're embarking. This is how networking starts. And everything, in fact, starts from thesis itself. The third point is represent your efforts and expertise. There is no doubt. A good thesis will present your effort and expertise. As usual, many of us, the examiners, are very critical when evaluating students' work. The reason is because we are not intent to fail the student, but we are just trying to help the candidate to improve so that the work is up to the par level, or for those who are doing PhDs, at least up to that level. If your thesis is well prepared, it would definitely represent your expertise and efforts. In some cases, in the Viva, for example, examiners are excited with the student works if those theses are prepared at, in a very quality level, and definitely they also intend to learn from you. All right. So the next point would be enhance your confidence. The next one is your thesis is your masterpiece that you carry along as a research student in the program. Definitely, a good thesis will somehow boost your confidence, especially when you share your research work at the public domains like conference, like colloquium, seminar, and so on and so forth. Allow me to be frank and honest, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have confidence in our work before we are able to defend it proudly. For example, in my case, I still remember many years back when I did my Viva. If you have a good thesis with you, definitely you will have that kind of source of energy, that which is your confidence. The moment before the examiner asks you a question, in fact, you already know what kind of question to be asked. Okay, having a self-confidence doesn't mean that you are overconfident. We have to differentiate between these two terms, because I usually, when I supervise my student, this is the thing that I really emphasize, because I want them to feel good and confident about their work. If let's say they have this kind of energy with them, definitely they will do a good job, particularly in terms of their writing and also their work thesis. All right. So besides that, the last point for today's is for this particular slide. Sorry. Okay, it's important for your Viva as well. A good thesis, as far as we know, that thesis is only the source of documents available to examiner before your Viva. Therefore, it is important to ensure that the thesis is up to the level. Like I said earlier, a good thesis will create positive impressions among the examiner. Therefore, the resulting outcome of it will definitely has an impact on your overall result of your Viva assessment. Okay, Mr. William, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, taking into considerations the importance of the good thesis, there are several strategies that you can consider before submitting your work. All right, number one, get your supervisor feedback. As usual, your supervisor will always be your closest acquaintance in your research journey. They basically know what is going on with your research work, and it would be great for you to work together with them and get their feedback from time to time. You wouldn't be surprised that the feedback they give to you would definitely improve your work before sending off for examination. Next would be proofread your work. Since that our documents will be read by examiner and supervisor, it is recommended for you to get your work proofreaded. The meaning of proofreading can be simply explained as a process to recheck your work. We can say that it is a process which ensures that substance has a clear and error-free message before being delivered or presented to the panels. As we know, examiners are human too. Okay, therefore, documents with a lot of errors would definitely irritate them. It is perfectly okay for you as a research student to get a proofreader to go over your work, because as far as we are concerned, English is not our first language for many of us. All right, next thing would be to check the formatting requirements and citation. All right, you won't be surprised that these elements carry a significant weightage in your research, particularly when it comes to the assessment. Many of the university, I believe, they have a rubrics for them to assess your thesis. And some of the significant weightage given to the marking system would be your formatting and also your citation. And many of the students overlooked this matter, which resulted in some undesired question being raised by the examiners during the oral defense. Okay, for example, some examiner will ask you why you did not cite, your citation is wrong. All these are those kind of questions if a particular student failed to address this particular point. All right, so the next one would be When enough is enough. Okay, ultimately, as a researcher or as a postgraduate student, you are basically responsible for deciding whether your thesis is ready for submission. Remember that you must submit your thesis if you get clearance from the faculty, because usually university will, after getting a clearance, they will give you about 1 or 2 months to get it submitted. In your plan, you should plan it wisely by allowing some weeks before this date to give your supervisory team a chance to read and comment on your complete final draft. Okay, there are few checklists lah. Okay, usually I tell my students that they need to take note. Number one, have you covered everything you wanted to cover? That's the first question. Number two, does your thesis clearly set out what is your original contribution to knowledge in your discipline and what are the implications from that? Number three, have you followed the advice given by the supervisor for developing your writing? If and only if your answer is yes to all of these, then it is likely that your work have done sufficiently and you are ready to go for submission. The next one would be avoid being a perfectionist. All right. Okay. As far as we know, perfection is an unrealistic objective. Simply because if you become a perfectionist, you cannot tolerate anything that falls short of your expectation. And a lot of research students must not let themselves fall into this way of thinking. All right. Perfect is not achievable for me. Professional is. Your supervisor and your examiners will not expect perfect work from you. They, in fact, expect professional work. Keep a sense of perspective and be realistic about what you can achieve. Like I said earlier, if you do not have any doubts about the quality of your work, the best thing is keep on looking for your supervisor because they are the right person for you to talk to. It can also be helpful to seek feedback from the fellow research students in your faculty or in your university and to look for past submitted theses as a reference. Okay, using that just as a guide, as a benchmark. All right, this will definitely give you a sense of perspective as to what is expected from you and your university. All right, so I try to cover it. All right, the last one, which is the include publication derived from thesis. Okay, this is one of the key strategies that usually I tell my student what to do. Okay, because publication derived from the thesis is very, very important in the sense that it can help you to convince your examiner that your idea of work has been accepted by others. By having all these supports, particularly the publication at the good journals, this will make examiner psychologically, I have to put disclaimer to this one. It will having a good publication from your thesis, particularly from the good journals, it will definitely make the examiner to think twice before asking you any question. In fact, by having good publication under your belt also will boost up your confidence when it comes to your viva later on. So this is the thing that you really need to take notes before the submission of your thesis. All right. Mr. William, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. All right. So based on whatever I share with you is just my past humble experience. Therefore, many of us have different journeys, some ups, some downs. It's part of the process. This is what we mean by life is a learning process. Anyway, so this is something that you can look into. There are few papers that I attached over here that you can download and go over it. This is a good guideline for many of us as a research students to look into it for learning purpose. And you definitely, like for example, the first article, advice for writing a thesis. Okay, the second one is importance of writing. You see, the gist of everything is about writing, defending, and most importantly to me, is always come from the word J. It's not my name, Jason, it's justification. There is no right or wrong in research as long as you are able to justify. So ladies and gentlemen, I think I managed to cover it within 10 minutes. Thank you, Dr. Leong, back to you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Jason. So, Dr. Jason has actually pointed out that your thesis is your masterpiece. And having a very good thesis right up is extremely crucial, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for examiner's first impression. And in which I totally agree with that because examiners, in the end, examiners are also human, right? So first impression counts to hook their attention. However, Dr. Jason also reminded every one of us that not to being a perfectionist. If you know very well that all your required actions such as getting supervisor's feedback and proofreading have actually been done accordingly. Okay, and the final point that Dr. Jason has also shared is that to avoid tough questions in the Viva will say, maybe you will need to consider starting from now having a few good publications. Now, let us move on to the second topic on preparation for Viva Voce examination by our second speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad Hanafia. Now, Dr. Hafiz, having been a postgraduate student yourself and now a very experienced supervisor to many students who have graduated with flying colors, so my questions to you are, first, based on your observation and experiences, what are some of the preparation a candidate should have before Viva Voce examination? And second is, do you also have additional advice for good preparation? Over to you, Dr. Hafiz.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this event. I'm Hafiz, by the way. I believe Dr. Leong had introduced myself quite thoroughly, especially on my research background. Again, well, when we talk about thesis and PhDs and focusing on the Viva Voce, what I can see is that put yourself as a salesperson. You are selling your idea, you are selling your research work, you want people to buy your idea. So again, the Viva Voce is actually, by definition, is exam by words of mouth as opposed to writing. When we talk about writing, things that have been touched by Dr. Jason, in terms of actually the examiner has already read through your thesis and they already find points to ponder, flaws, and they already made their mind on what would they expect from you during the Viva sessions. But then again, I always argue with my colleagues saying that when you talk about Viva, it's not about, it is not actually presentations. It's actually defense. You have to defend your thesis. In order to defend, you have to prepare yourself. Yep. So, and when we talk about defending yourself, you are not defending by writing, but much more towards verbal defense. So let's go through on what are the preparation and the tips that you could use to prepare yourself for your Viva sessions. Next, Mr. William. So again, my argument is on whether you are defending or presenting. Yep. Presentation is just merely presentations. You are not trying to highlight what you are doing. You are merely highlighting what you are doing. You are presenting your result, and you are just saying things that are already in your thesis. But defending is another thing. Yep. Because you actually, while waiting for the Viva sessions, I believe you are going to read through your thesis, and that is where you're going to find a lot of flaws, a lot of mistakes, some sort of like grammatical mistakes, arguments that you found from recent studies, and you need to prepare. I mean, that this is where actually I always ask my students to bring a hard copy of their thesis and make sure that you highlight things that you already found so that you are prepared to answer if question didn't arise. Mr. William, next. So, so again, brace yourself. Your Viva is coming. So it usually take around like 2 to 3 months for the Viva sessions to start after you submitted your thesis. And definitely you are aware with the panels that were assigned with your thesis. And perhaps this is where, I mean, the critical points where this is the last step that you have to prepare, you have to do before you end up your PhD journeys. Next. So what is it? The first steps. Yeah, get to know your thesis inside out. You have to read through again and again. Be masters of your thesis. Frankly, I would like to say that, I would like to reiterate that the most important things that you understand the authors of your underpinning theories. You need to get to know them, know whether he is, even the gender of the authors. Who is he? Where is he working right now? What is his recent works? Because your underpinning theory is the theory that support your framework, your research framework, and definitely you are going to criticize him. You are going to support his arguments, and this is where it is important for you to get to know your thesis and know your university rules and regulations. Again, this is very important. I believe that you have been briefed about the university rules and regulation at the first stage of your PhD journey, which is like 3-4 years ago. You might forgotten about it. You need to know, is it an open session? Is it a closed sessions? How long should you be presenting your thesis? And then what are the results that you're going to expect? Major, minor, how long it takes for you to prepare the corrections. Get to know about the rules and regulations. Next, Mr. William. Next, yeah. I always ask my students to arrange a mock viva to practice. I know most of the universities will organize a mock viva for you. Yeah, but come on, you are PhD students. You are actually a professional. You can just get together with your friends. Set a session at at Starbucks, and just share your point of view. Share your presentations with them. Eventually, you will get confidence. This is actually a way for you to be confident about your thesis. Telling people who doesn't know about your thesis. I even explained my thesis to my wife, and you believe that how the feedbacks given by her is that she want to know more about the jargons. This is actually good for you. Yep, for you to be familiarized with your topics, and then test your ability to respond on the details of the thesis. This is actually, based on the mock viva, you will receive a lot of questions, and these questions are actually legit questions. Yep, it may come from somebody who are well versed with your area or somebody who are not well versed in area. Well, my wife asked me, so what? That is actually a very good question. So what? After I finished presenting my thesis with her, she asked me, so what? So I have to think, so what? What is the next steps? What will your thesis or your findings bring to the body of knowledge, to the practitioners? You have to be clear about that. Yeah. Next, Mr. William. And well, I don't know whether this is ethical or not, but do stop your examiners. Just a simple googling will let them will let you know about them. Who are they? How do they look? Yeah, people don't judge the books by its cover, but we always judge the book by its cover. So just get to know them, the area, what are their recent studies. This is actually good. When you are introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Hafiz. Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for coming from UCSI. I know you are very good in marketing researchers. So you are giving good impressions about yourself. Yep. And then make a list of your own corrections. Yep. Because the examiners already make a list of your flaws. Yeah, so you make your list of your own creation. So whenever the examiner just ask you, I found some sort of problem with your writing in page 3. Oh yeah, where you can reply by saying that, yeah, based on my recent readings, yeah, I found that there is a problem with that writing. I already take note and already make corrections, and maybe you can explain what are the correction that you plan to do. I mean, you are preparing yourself. Yeah. Next. And talk to others who have had Viva recently. Yeah, I mean, don't worry. I mean, they have positive and negative experience coming from PhDs students. They might be bashed during the Viva sessions. They might be given good remarks. Again, I always tell my students, I mean, yeah, you can listen to these young researchers who claim that the thesis should be short, the thesis should be very simple. But again, you are not defending your thesis in front of them. You are actually defending your thesis in front of or what we call old schools panels. They are much more towards on the writing. They are much more towards on the content and on the length. The thesis must be lengthy for them. I mean, again, yep. And I agree with Mr. Jason. Yep. Most of the issues arise from this PhD is the more towards on the cosmetic base, or cosmetic part of the thesis. Yeah, a panel should actually focus on the content, but if the writing have flaws, I mean, they will definitely highlight that. So please do send your thesis for proper proofreading before your Viva. Yep. And do eat well, sleep well. I mean, don't drink a lot of coffee. I mean, I'm a coffee holic. Yeah. I always love to drink coffees when, you know, you will make your hand shiverings. And I mean, coffee actually invite a lot of butterflies in your stomachs. I use that term. I mean, butterflies love coffees. Whenever you are panicked, so please just drink plain water and relax. Take a good night's sleep. Do not. I mean, yeah, you have time in the early morning to just revise your slides and just go. I mean, rather than reread all the slides again and again, it will make yourself I would say not ready to. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to reread your slide because everything is actually going to be in place during the Viva sessions. Next, Mr. William. Yeah, again, bring a printed copy of your thesis. This is no for a panel. Yeah? Whenever, I mean, there are panels who actually review page by page. I mean, they're going to page by page, and you need that. Yep, you need to what we say, give feedbacks, and you need to have a hard copy of your thesis in order you to reply properly. Another thing is that when we talk about preparing your slides, be minimalist. I mean, well, maybe you are doing your thesis on arts or performing arts. Yeah, you might have pictures, but a minimalist slide presentation will let the panels be clear on what you're trying to present. I mean, most of the time, I've seen that these students try to put everything in one slide. I mean, it will sound much more professional if you just put some sort like point form and you are able to explain verbally on your research design, your methodology, your sampling. But then you cannot or say skip your data analysis. You have to present all the tables, but make sure that you know what you are presenting. That is the most important thing while presenting for Viva. Next. Okay. So again, I'm going to reiterate what I have told you earlier. You are a salesperson. You are trying to sell your products. You must understand that the customers, which are the panels, actually have perceptions. They already create perceived value on your products. Now is the time for you to change, to modify their perceptions, improve their perceived value of your thesis. Well, if you ask me personally, your presentations, your Viva session actually have very small effect on the decisions. But when you're talking about selling your thesis, do include things that are not in your thesis during your presentation. Examples, put pictures of your activities that you have done during your PhD, conferencing. I mean, my thesis, I'm doing a PLS-SEM for secondary data. Yep, it's quite new. So most of my panels are not aware on that particular concept. What I did is that I put pictures of me training with Hair and also Prof Hair and also Prof Ramaya. So eventually, I'm telling those the panel saying that I am being trained by the guru of PLS-SEM. And in fact, I also include publications, informations, papers that been published during my PhD sessions. It doesn't mean that I mean it's actually it's a point a value added information to tell the panel saying that the study that you have done had been reviewed, had been accepted by high-end journal, high-index journal. So that's the reason why most of the universities encourage you to publish your articles, I mean, to publish your work before your viva. I mean, just to confirm that your thesis, your findings, your argument are acceptable by the international standards. Yeah? So go and submit your works to the high-end journals. I mean, in fact, just to share with you guys, when I did my proposal, I submitted a conceptual papers about my new framework to Tourism Economics. It's a Q2 journals. And the reviewer reviews the articles and they reply, I mean, the feedbacks are actually not good. Major correction, but accepted for publications. So that's actually indication saying that you are doing the right thing, because the journals have all these international reviewers who actually are masters in that particular areas. Last but not least is to enjoy it. Come on, guys. You have been spending for 3 to 4 years. I mean, crying, laughing together, working late night. Um, staring at your computers without anything to do for 2 hours. Yeah, I've been in that place. I've been in your shoes. Yeah, but you must understand this is just a process. Enjoy. Present it like you want to sell it. Present it like you are a salesperson again. You need to enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you will definitely embrace the experience. I actually enjoyed my presentation. I fought like a soldier. I mean, I have to explain everything to my panels in regards of my research design, in regards of my statistical analysis, because it's quite new to them. So I have to explain, and assuming that they accept my thesis, meaning that they understand what I'm telling them. Yep. So again, enjoy it. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Mr. William, is it? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz, for the advice on preparation for Viva Voce examination. Well, in fact, I do totally agree with Dr. Hafiz that you need to put yourself as a salesperson, as Viva Voce is an exam where students, you need to defend and verbally defend and also sell your thesis, right? And you really, really need to fight like a soldier on your big day. Okay, so it's very, very important to know that your thesis inside out. Now, according to Dr. Hafiz, based on his advice prior to the big day of Viva Voce, eat well, sleep well, but don't drink. But what he meant was actually coffee. But interestingly, he was advising that do stop on your examiners, right? In fact, actually, honestly, I myself, I did that too. Okay, and also for those of you who are already married, talk to your spouse. I think that is a very good idea. Yes, talk to your spouse about your thesis until they talk in their dreams. And also they're telling you while they are sleeping about your thesis. Okay, now we shall move on to the fourth topic first, which will be shared by Dr. Phua, as Dr. Phua will need to rush for an urgent meeting after this. Okay,